Stars fans, Danny Cohen here with some more Stars content for you following the game against the Blue Jackets. So we needed the win. I wouldn't say needed it, but would really have liked to have gotten it given that we had just dropped two. Did not get it. Let me go through with you how it all played out, and then we'll break it down here at the end. So I thought Miro had a good start to the game, but then in the first period, Fantilli paints the corner from the face-off circle. Petro and Bischel are on the ice. Bischel is the third man in on the same player, leaving a lot of men and ice open. I thought it was a bad goal by Otter as well, one that he probably would want back. Not a horrible goal, but it's one that you'd really like for an elite goalie or supposed elite goalie to stop on that one. So I'm sure he would like that one back. So then Marchenko dekes Bischel inside out and had his back turned towards the player after the deke. And the player, Marchenko, ended up getting a shot on goal. Pad save on Ottinger to bail out Bischel on that one. I'm sure Bischel was tapping Ottinger on the pads after that one. Again, this is two plays early in the first period where Bischel is not doing what he needs to do. The power play for us looks good early, but we don't convert. Then the Stars lose a D-zone face-off. Bischel is on his offside and doesn't cut off the pass. He tries to make a goalie stop to cut that pass off that's going towards the opposite side where Sillinger is on the doorstep. It ends up going 5-hole on Bischel, and then Harley is helplessly behind the play, so ends up being a slam dunk goal for them. On this play, I was wondering to myself really why we had two left-handed defensemen out there on the ice together. Harley and Bischel aren't typically paired together, so I was kind of scratching my head on that one. Even with all of our mishaps on that play, that sure looked like a kick to me, and I don't know for the life of me why that didn't get called back, but goes up as a goal. That game could have looked different if they didn't go up 2-0, because we ended up coming back in the second to get a goal. But we'll get into that at the end of the first period. Shots are 11-3 on 5 play for Columbus. Not good for the Stars there. And 63% of the 5-on-5 possession also goes to Columbus after one. Columbus was a really good 5-on-5 team last year. They look good again this year. I do have to tell you that Columbus is a better team than most people give them credit for. They give a lot of people problems at the really, especially at the end of last year, and then in the second period, at this point I'm wondering to myself, where's the grit? We're kind of in a little bit of a hole here, and you'd like to see someone taking the physical initiative to either run someone good in the corner or, give someone a face wash after the whistle, get things stirred up, maybe even drop the mitts. We don't really get that at this point. Even though we don't get that, Seguin gets an ugly goal in front of the net off of a Blackburn shot. And then Ernie had the second assist on that. Good for him. Good to see him get a point on the board after all the hard work he's put in. I've really liked what I've seen out of Ernie so far this year. And I'll tell you, Seguin is looking a little different. I thought this year, he really doesn't look like a kid anymore. And so Dad Face got the goal. Good for him. He's still got it. All in all, I felt like it was a pretty good period in the second. Fairly uneventful outside of that goal. but good play overall. And I have high hopes going into the third period that we've got the momentum going in our favor. That is quickly dashed as Matejchuk ends up getting a goal. So Harley on this play is going to catch a fly ball in sort of a danger spot, and he does not make the catch. I'll tell you, Harley, you're a great hockey player. Baseball player, not so much. I don't want you in the outfield for the Rangers. Yeah. Anyway, um, that player after Harley drops the ball ends up getting the puck to Matejchuk. Uh, then Matejchuk cuts to the center. Harley misses his man there and blows a shot glove side on Ottinger. That one again, I wouldn't call it necessarily the softest of goals, but it looked stoppable for Otter there, and we're down 3-1. So I liked what I saw from Rantanen at this point. He had a big hit along the boards and then another hit a little later. I see him trying to spark the team. My thought is I would have liked to have seen this earlier, in the first period, in the second period. This is when you want to take some, I'll call it a risk when you amp up the physical play because you might take a penalty. But when you're early on in the game, you can afford to get in some penalty trouble. You've got time on the clock as long as you're killing penalties. You can take a penalty, a rough penalty, not a trip or anything like that, but a nice solid hit or a little roughing penalty or even a fight, and then kill a penalty if you have to. Maybe it's an instigator or whatever the case may be. And then you've got that physical momentum plus a penalty kill momentum, and now you go and you create some offensive momentum off of that. That's what I would have liked to have seen earlier. Instead, we're getting some of this play from Rantanen, which again I'm glad to see. He was the only one that was really one of the only guys that was really doing that, and he was for sure the one that was doing it the most effectively. But where was that early in the game? And beyond that, where are the other players that are supposed to be following the lead of, I know he's not our captain, but he sure feels like our interim captain right now. Where are the people behind him coming with the same play? So I don't know if something needs to be said on the bench or the coach needs to say something, but we're just not getting team buy-in in that physical play right now. So Blackhole gets a holding the stick call in the D zone. Not good timing for that. And Columbus gets another goal. Voronkov on the power play here. They get it interior of the ice again. Kind of a repeat theme where they're able to get the interior of the ice on us, where the whole game they were kind of boxing us out to the perimeter. We were not able to do that with the Jackets. And goes 5-hole on another bad goal by Otter. So we see the team going down 4-1. The game is pretty much over, and then Columbus gets an empty net goal. We end up losing 5-1. Shots were 29-23 Columbus. Again, we get outshot. Faceoffs were 58%. I thought it was a rough game for Otter. They had 2 power play goals for them, 2 of 2. We went 0 for 2. So our special teams are not doing well right now. Our penalty kill is not doing well. Our power play is beginning to struggle where it was real hot in the early going of the season. We need to see that change course here and change course pretty quickly. The grit, again, is not gritting at the right time. I kind of looked to Bischel, who had 0 hits on the game. I got to be honest, So far this year, I have not been impressed with Bischel, both in terms of his play in the D zone as well as the physical play that I know he can bring, but he's just not doing it right now. Um, I love Bischel. He's one of my favorite. I'm going to still call him a prospect. He's one of my favorite, probably my favorite prospect of ours right now. I love that style. I don't know if he's not the mean alpha male vicious player that we need. He's not a Darian Hatcher. He's not a Tom Wilson. I like what he brings, but when I see him hit, and he hits a lot, I see more of a competitive, playful hitting, if that makes sense. He's such a big guy. He could be so intimidating, and that intimidation can do a lot of things. I think that he may have been intimidated by Olivier, who was on the ice, and that's why we didn't see much physical play from him in the game. When you have somebody that is an intimidating player like an Olivier, like a Darian Hatcher, like a Nikita Zadorov, these are the kinds of players that can take players off of their game and change the physicality of the other team just from the simple fact of them being on the ice. And that's something that we have neglected to bring into our system. I'd really like to see more of that. Bischel really hasn't done a whole lot offensively yet. I know that's not his bread and butter of his game, but I do see that there is a potential there, and I just haven't seen it. So I'd like to see Bischel get it together, and honestly, if not, maybe a little competition would do him some good. Maybe bring up somebody like Trey Taylor or Kolyachonok, and see what they can bring to the table, and maybe that pushes him along a little bit to compete and play a little bit harder for us. I liked some of the things that I saw in the preseason out of him, but and really the whole defense has been bad. So I can't put this all on Bischel, but I think that if somebody's going to come out, honestly, at this point, we're so deep on left wing, or left defense, we're so bone dry on right that I think if somebody comes out right now, it's got to be Bischel if you want to shake things up, and maybe that's what you do. I don't like to say that because I like him, I like his style, but maybe we can see how somebody else looks back there if this kind of continues from not just him but the whole decor. So I thought Harley had a rough game again here. Um, a lot of players had a rough game. I thought Riskovian was invisible. I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. If he can't produce offensively, at least get in there and mix it up a little bit more physically, like he did when he stood up for. I can't remember who he stood up for. Or I think it was it Miro? I think it was earlier on that hit where he came in and dropped the gloves immediately. So like to see a little bit more out of him. We've got some big games coming up. We've got LA, Carolina, Washington, Tampa Bay, Florida. And I got to tell you, these are in the next couple weeks here. That's some stiff competition. We're 3-3. We've lost 3 in a row. And it could go from bad to worse very, very quickly with competition like this coming up. And so we don't have a whole lot of time to Mickey Mouse around here with the feeling out process and the new system change that we're going through right now. We're already I think second to last in our division, even though we took a good handful of points from them in the beginning part of the season. This is the murder, death, kill division, and you've got to do good consistently. So we need to get it together. Going back to the defense, when you look at our defense, on paper, It looks like a rock star to me. I mean, would you like to see a little bit, maybe Labushkin out of there? Yeah, sure. But, especially when we don't have injuries, to Lundqvist specifically here, we look pretty good on paper. But in reality, we are in the basement of the league right now defensively. We gave up 5 goals to Columbus, and that's just not going to cut it. That's just not going to cut it. We're giving up a lot of goals consistently here. To give you an example, we've got 23 goals against collectively so far this season versus a combined 23 goals against for both Winnipeg and Colorado. Winnipeg has got 13 goals against, Colorado only 10, and half of those were from us. So, we did well in that regard, but that just gives you an idea of how bad our defense has been in this small sample size. And part of me is thinking maybe, and I know it would sting, but maybe we trade one of our left-handed defensemen, and I mean one of our good ones, Miro or Harley, for a stud right-hand defenseman like a McAvoy or an Adam Fox, somebody like that would. I think a lot of our issues right now are not having the right side, left side balance, where we've got a really high quality left side and the right side is just not there. So maybe we look to do something like that. Not right now, but eventually, maybe before the deadline, maybe we do something like that, and maybe that's the final piece that we need to really get this team to that next level. I thought Bork had one of his least noticeable games out there, and he had a lot of minutes compared to what he's had. I think he's been getting 12, 13 minutes a game. He had 18. I didn't really notice him much all game. And all in all, we're 3-3, and I agree with what Goalie said, and Goalie said in his post-game interview that being 500 is not necessarily as important to him as how we're playing. And we've been playing poorly. Even the games that we've won, there's not been one convincing win that we've had all year. We've either given up a huge lead or just had late game struggles. And I know we've had some injuries, but at a certain point, you gotta say that, hey, this team, even with injuries, should have enough talent to be doing better than 500 right now, and it really could be a lot worse. Really, I think we got lucky in some of those early games where we were getting such high shooting percentages. Some of the things that I was talking about earlier about the defense not looking good, our top guys producing at ridiculous levels, 1.5 points per game for like 4 players, saying, hey, this isn't a sustainable way to win games, and now we're seeing that. And we're getting hit with the same injury bug, I guess, that didn't leave us from last year. We've got Duchesne back out. I don't know if this is concussion related. I have to say, if he did have a concussion, sitting him out for one game is not enough time. They should have sat him out longer. If it's that, we got to really watch what we do with him, because we don't want to make that worse injury, a worse concussion than it already is. Very easy to do. It's either that or there's supposedly some kind of flu that's going around, or cold within the locker room. So that could be playing into some of what we're seeing right now here too. But again, I don't want to make too many excuses for this team. Jamie Benn is still out with his punctured lung. He's going to be out for quite a bit more here. We probably won't see him till maybe even after Thanksgiving. And then when he does come back, he hasn't been able to be doing any cardio. I can't imagine that he's going to be true to form. Lundqvist um, is on IR now with an undisclosed injury. Oscar Beck is out. So, you know, I, do I think it's time to hit the panic button? No. 6 games. If you take 6 games at any point of the season, you can make it look bad. But again, we've got it to get it together. We've got it to get it together soon, and we're doing it in a span of games where we don't have um, a whole lot of wiggle room to mess up. This is not a forgiving stretch of the schedule, so knock on wood. Let's hope that they get it here, get it right, and get it right soon. I can be reached at The Foil Hockey, that's TheFoil Hockey, at gmail.com. Talk to you soon.